My name is Michela Macchiavello and I'm the Senior Regional Thematic Specialist on Labour Migration and Development that specifically looks at establishing connections with diaspora for them to become agents of development in the country of origin. I work at the International Organization for Migration, the regional office in San Jose, Costa Rica, which is responsible for the areas of the Caribbean, Central America and North America. Now, without further ado, let me start with this short presentation. It's going to be about 30 minutes and it's going to focus very briefly on what our organization does, but then mainly on the connections between our work and the diaspora for them to actually become effective agents of development. So we are the International Organization for Migration, or the UN Migration Agency. Our mission is the following. We are committed to the principle that humane and orderly migration benefits migrants and society. And in order to do that, we provide support to our member states, to our partners in the international community, to actually deal with the growing challenge that is posed by migration and the management of migration. We help our governments and member states to understand the issues related to migration. We foster programs that focus on the social and economic contribution that migrants can bring to their own countries. And we do this within fostering the respect for human rights of migrants and their host communities. Now, let me give you some very brief history to put a focus on time. We were born in 1951 as an organization that was dealing with migration within Europe after World War II. We became the International Organization for Migration in 1989, and it was only in 2016 that we joined the United Nations as a related agency, and we became the International Organization for Migration, UN Migration Agency, part of the UN. Now, a few facts just to show the kind of size that we have. So we have 169 member states. By the end of this year, we will be more than 170. We have more than 400 offices around the world, so definitely more than one per country. We have 11,000 staff, mainly in countries of operation, so very few in Geneva, which is our headquarters in Switzerland. We have 3,500 active projects, and we deal with a budget of $2 billion. Now, since we are actually talking about funding, let me also just state a few more words on our funding. We are a completely or almost completely projectized organization, meaning that we don't have our own funding, but we receive voluntary contributions from either governments or institutions or private donations. So, for example, in 2018, 93% of our project expenditure was given by voluntary contributions. The remainder is basically used for administrative purposes and is directly taken from the membership of our member states. So what we do with our partners is to develop specific projects to address their priority, and once we do that, we have to look for funding that can come from public or private institutions. But then let's focus on the main part of this presentation, and basically I would like to address with you the kind of work that the International Organization for Migration is carrying out to engage diaspora in the development of their own country of origin. Our organization has been working for the past 50 years, focusing on facilitation diaspora engagement in the country of origin. Now, we know that a global definition of diaspora actually does not exist. However, we have our own definition that is quite inclusive and overarching. We define diaspora as individuals and members of networks, associations and communities who have left their countries of origin but who maintain close links with their homeland. And this can include, but is not limited to, individuals who are now living in destination countries, migrants who work over there and have the nationality of the destination country, other migrants who might have dual nationality, and other groups as well, as long as they have decided that they have an interest in maintaining connection to their home country. Now let's look a bit closer at what can be done by the various actors that are involved in dealing with the diaspora or members of the diaspora themselves to actually become active agents of development. Diaspora member can play a very important role in developing the priorities and focusing on the priorities of their country of origin. And they can do this through the utilization of their times, their skills, their knowledge, their products, and of course also through financial contributions. However, at the same time, a lot can be done to facilitate the engagement of the diaspora by governmental institutions in the country of origin. Specifically, there is one action that we consider vital and that can be undertaken both by institutions, governmental institutions in the country of origin, and by members of the diaspora. And this is activities that are aimed at building trust with the diaspora. And specifically, when I refer to this, we need to consider that while generally we refer to diaspora as a homogeneous group, diaspora generally are not homogeneous. They are made up by a variety of different individuals that might have a different kind of status in the country of destination, that might have a different kind of integration in the country of destination, that might have achieved different levels of results. So we need to consider that indeed the diaspora is not homogeneous, it's very diverse. So first and foremost, we need to foster activities that that will make us win the trust of the diaspora between, first of all, diaspora and the government, but also among the different diasporas, because there are different groups that can actually interact with each other in different countries or within the same country. Now, the undertakings need to be transparent, and the approach need to actually propose benefits for all those who are involved. Now, specifically, what can diaspora members do in order to engage? They can undertake direct links with the country of origin. This is by basically getting in touch directly with businesses or institutions in the country of origin and develop these projects on their own. But I can also do that indirectly, basically by teaming up in a collaborative with either government institutions or with organizations through the identification of various projects. For example, these can be matching schemes where organizations from the diaspora and authorities from the government in the country of origin pool together funds to, for example, foster the development of infrastructure or other work in the country of origin. And then, of course, programs that focus on sharing skills. Our organization has been working on these kind of projects for the past 30 to 40 years. These kind of projects started to facilitate the links between African countries and the diaspora in European countries. They've started to focus basically on the exchange of skills and knowledge of medical personnel, but they have extended now to all sorts of skills in order indeed to bring back some of the skills that have been gained outside to the country of origin. And they are very successful projects, very much appreciated by the member of the diaspora, by diaspora associations and by the institutions in the country of origin, and they can be undertaken for short to medium to longer terms. We basically have a very simple but quite comprehensive approach that is based on 3 steps aimed at enabling, engaging and empowering diaspora members and diaspora organizations. We will look at each one of the 3 together. So in terms of enabling, there are various conditions that are essential to be put in place to facilitate the enabling of diaspora contributions. And these can take various actions. For example, we can undertake activities to foster the social participation and cultural exchange with diaspora and diaspora associations. Now, these can take, for example, the form of visits to diaspora communities in the countries of destination, and they can include programs of providing awards to those members of the diasporas that have achieved a particular results. They can also include the possibility to mention regularly achievements of the diaspora in the local press, so that their achievements are known not only within the various communities of the diaspora and diaspora members, but also within the local communities in the country of origin. Then, of course, we can focus on developing methods to facilitate trade, investment, and tax reductions. We can develop projects like the one that I have just mentioned, where there are matching grants to diaspora-led projects. These are projects that, for example, our agency focuses very much on and that are extremely appreciated by the members of the diaspora. They can focus, and by the receiving government. They can focus on particular areas of the country of origin which needs support, which needs development, specific institutions that need updating, that need training, etc. Then the government and local institutions can take care to develop attractive projects such as startups that would attract members of the diaspora to invest directly in the country. For example, for the setup of small and medium enterprises. And then, of course, there are projects that are aimed at facilitating remittances and specifically at reducing the cost of remittances. We have a number of projects on this, and we will explore them just in a minute. And then just to let you know that, of course, this is a non-exhaustive list that can be filled in just thinking out of the box. Now, in terms of engaging, we believe that it is possible to foster engagement, especially when information, specific information, on the composition of the diaspora is known. So action in order to foster the engagement of the diaspora include the following. There would be activities to reach out to the diaspora in a way that allows us to acquire knowledge on their socio-economic profile and specifically on their skills. And this is done through mapping exercises, also called mapping skilled exercises, which we run, and especially we've been running a few and are currently running a few with fellow countries in the Caribbean. Then, of course, as correctly Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs and Aviation, Mr. Brantley, stressed, we need to also focus very much on a communication strategy. So once we have a mapping exercise in place, and for example, we set up a platform of exchange, we need to ensure that we communicate this clearly to the various diaspora members and communities for them to engage. Once we have taken care to know the diversity of our diaspora, then we can engage in developing national policies addressing the diasporas. National policies will need to, of course, also include a strategy of communication and a strategy of engagement, and are best done once indeed the information of the available skills and the missing skills in the countries of origin is available. And then again, just to let you know that this is a non-exhaustive list to which we can certainly add. Now, in terms of empowering, diaspora communities have contributed for centuries to their country of origin in spite of the existence or the non-existence of facilitating methods. However, we know that government institutions, together with the international community, can certainly enhance the action of the diaspora to contribute to the country of origin. And this can be done basically by developing some of the projects that I've been mentioning so far. So, for example, by identifying projects that facilitate the mobilization of skills to the country of origin, or also leveraging on the philanthropy of the diaspora. Let me give you a concrete example here. We have just started a project that is focusing on the setup of a crowdfunding platform in Central America, and that is basically attracting small to medium to large investment to projects that have been created by the returning community to certain countries of Central America. We have done that to facilitate the reintegration of returning communities after the end of the TPS in the US. And that is attracting quite a lot of attention, both among the members of the diaspora, but also, of course, among community of returnees. Another thing that we can do is to actually focus on the country of origin by strengthening existing skills. So, for example, one thing that we can do that we have done quite extensively is to strengthen the financial management capacity of the receiving end. So of the families that are receiving the contributions and the remittances, as well as their savings capacities. We can do that by the provision of specific courses to either focus on management, financial management, or to strengthen their entrepreneurial capacity. And again, here the list can increase. Now, I wanted to actually bring you some examples of the kind of projects that we are running in the Caribbean. Let me just step out. I will need to go to our dear colleagues of IT to be able to actually click on the available link. Now, the first one is a project that we have run in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where we have been mapping the diaspora in countries in Canada, in the US, and in Europe. Hold on a second, technical issue. And so basically in this project we have worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Interior and the Office of the Prime Minister to map the diaspora, but also get to know the socio-economic profile of the diaspora in the various countries. And the website is now full on. It has been taken over by the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and it really focuses on, it has been focusing on basically understanding the skills that the diaspora has in the countries of destination. So, for example, as we can see here, apart from the address of the director, there are parts where, I don't know whether you can actually see very well, but what the screen says is that we have information on how to get involved. For example, this part, it will show diaspora stories, and this part will take us to the survey, which members can take and tell us more about the kind of work that they do. So we have a similar project also in Guyana, where we have created a platform to share information among the diaspora members and to bring their up-to-date news with the government of the country of origin. And through these platforms, we have created reports such as these, the one that you see on the screen, that is an assessment of skill gaps in the countries of origin. Specifically, this one focuses on St. Vincent and the Grenadines and provides opportunity for the diaspora to engage. We also have a number of projects that focus on on trying to reduce the cost of remittances in the destination country. For example, the one that I'm going to show you now is a collaborative between the government of Belgium and the IOM. We will be working with a software that is called Remit Radar, that is an online financial technology provider that will not only help users to compare the cost of remittances of various financial services providers, but also stimulate competition between the various service providers so that in fact the cost of remittances is reduced. We have a similar project also in Burundi. And in Burundi we are working specifically with the National Postal Office, and the idea is for them to provide better availability of withdrawal services to remote areas in the country, providing various and more posts where rural dwellers can withdraw. And of course also we are engaging with the National Post Office to be able to have a more diversified portfolio of service providers so that indeed they collaborate with each other and they compete with each other to provide a cheaper service to users. Now, I also wanted to bring your attention to the fact that IOM has been organizing this year the first ever annual Diaspora Forum, and that hopefully we'll be able to do this every year. It's been organized in Geneva on the 18th of May 2018, and it was focusing specifically on the contribution of the diaspora to the country of origin. And agenda was certainly very, very interesting. Participation very much appreciated. So hopefully this is something that we will be able to continue. And then last but certainly not least, to follow up on what the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs and Aviation just mentioned, sustainable development goals, but also certainly we should remember the importance that diaspora has been given within the Global Compact for Migration. As you know, the Global Compact for Migration and the Global Compact for Refugees are the consequences of the New York Declaration of 2016. The New York Declaration gave already ample importance to diaspora and diaspora contribution to the countries of origin. And the Global Compact for Migration actually reflects this importance. Just to let you know that within the actual text of the Global Compact, which will be finally adopted at the end of this year, the word diaspora is mentioned 25 times. So just to let you know that whatever engagement we as diaspora members will take towards our country of origin will greatly contribute not only to the Sustainable Development Goals, but also to attaining and following the recommendations of the Global Compact for Migration. My presentation is finished. I thank you very much for your attention, and just to let you know that since we don't have any time for question and answers, I will be, however, present for the next 3 days and will be very happy to discuss in details what I have presented. Thank you very much.
Stay up to date with news, programs and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.